Well, another Chiefs season is come and gone. Went really quickly, I thought.
Yeah, and and just like that, it's over.
Yeah, not really what we were expecting from their playoff run.
Well,
I wasn't necessarily expecting a sweep.
I was.
I know you were,
Yeah.
but
Don't say we.
I know you weren't, but I wasn't expecting a sweep in all honesty. And a lot of things happened in the series. I mean, it was an entertaining series, like especially the games here in Spokane. But at least they were kind of close, I guess.
The ones here. I mean, and if you think about it, I was thinking about this the other day too. I mean, I got there right at puck drop for the first game here in Spokane, and you were actually late because you had something going on with your pet. And then the
Hmm.
next game I couldn't go to because I was stuck at work with a meeting and stuff too. So it's interesting that previously we would be upset that we couldn't make it on time for a game or go to a game or something too, and neither one of us, just it wasn't really a priority for you on game 3 and for me in game 4.
Yeah, I mean, I was sitting in the vet waiting room watching it on my phone and everything too, but it was like it's I mean, Prince George still looked just dominant as ever. I think the Chiefs came out a lot more physical in game 3 than they did in the first two. That's probably just being on their home ice too.
Yeah,
But
they did.
I mean, for the most part, Prince George still dominated the game. Chiefs took the lead early, but then after that, it was, I mean,
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah, they showed up for the series. They wanted to get it done as quick as they could, and I mean they did that. They proved it. Spokane didn't look good in the first two games. We've talked about that the previous podcast, but um, yeah, they looked better in games 3 and game 4 too, but still just outclassed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Honestly, and once I showed up for the third period of game 3, I was really confused as to why a couple of guys weren't in the lineup.
Me too.
We never got any word
Don't know
on
if it's sickness.
why.
Don't. Yeah. Who knows?
But they were both sitting behind us up in 205,
Yes.
Leighton Feist and Mathis Preston. I mean, they were arguably two of your three top players in the first two games
Yep.
of the series, and then
Yep.
they're not playing game three. If it's injury related or sickness related, that's one thing. But if like the coach sits them on purpose for whatever reason, I don't agree with that at all.
No.
When they're
I.
your best players and you're already on the ropes in the series,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I don't know what that was all about either. I'd like to know the answer to that because that didn't make any sense to me either.
no, it didn't. But I
I mean,
mean,
I don't know.
it was a little bit questionable, but I thought that the guys that did show up and got in the lineup, I thought Caden Allen played game 3. I mean, he didn't play a lot, but when he was out there, he looked fine.
Yep.
Um, he was taking Vice spot, and then I think they put Crawl in for Preston, and Crawl played fine too. I mean, I thought Crawl should have been in the lineup the whole time. In all
Carl's been
honesty,
good ever since he came back from being sick.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, there wasn't too much to like about the first game here in Spokane. I mean, I guess the only thing you can really take a positive out is that you're once again, just like it was in the first two games, your 16, 17 year olds are showing up.
Yep.
The veterans aren't.
They weren't.
Um,
No.
I mean, Hayden Papanicus had a hell of a series. He scored a nice little goal out of midair there
Yeah.
in game 3,
That
get
was a
us on
nice
the
start.
board early. And then Cam Parr getting the assist on that play too. But then Zach Funk, he just takes over the series. He gets a couple of goals, and then Borealis added a second one there. And it was 3-1 Prince George there early in the second period. And once I got there in the third period, we actually ended up getting on the board again. Cheveldayoff came down on a 2-on-1 with Owen Martin, who again, Owen Martin was probably, in my opinion, the best player on the ice for the Chiefs in this whole series.
Yes.
Another 16-year-old. I thought he was great.
Kid plays hard. He was throwing the body around a little bit.
Well, the kid, you
He's
could tell
fast.
that these young kids didn't want to go home yet. They want
No,
to keep playing.
they wanted to play.
And I mean, Prince George did a hell of a job at shutting down Catton and Roulette
Yes, they did.
in that series. I mean, Roulette still got on the board a couple of times, but I mean, Catton only had like 4 or 5 assists in the whole
Yeah.
series. I mean, he got shut down big time.
Yep.
And they did a great job, but we didn't do anything to adjust that either. I think the big thing going in to the offseason is we got to address that penalty or that power play and the penalty kill.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I really would like to think that there will be a coaching change made. I don't know for sure, obviously, but even if you don't, you have to find something to get that power play, your special teams, to be better than they were in this
Yeah.
series. Because it
Yeah.
was, I mean, Chiefs were 0 for 5 on the power play, and it was, and Prince George scored twice on theirs in game 3. So it was just every time the Chiefs took a penalty, you're just sitting there like, well, here comes another goal. I mean, I sat in 204 with one of my buddies for game 4 since you couldn't make it. And we, every time we took a penalty, we just kind of sat back and just kind of rolled our eyes like, well, they're going to score again here. So,
Yeah.
and then, the Chiefs get a power play and they can't do anything with it. It's like, where's the number 6 power play in the league you had all year?
Yeah. And it was not present for the playoffs. That's
And
for
our
sure.
penalty kill wasn't, I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't awful during the
No.
season. But we had the worst power play in the first round, or
Yeah.
penalty kill
Penalty
rather.
kill. Yeah. Well, it's because you're going against them. They capitalized every time.
Yeah, and I think, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago too, but it's like I think that they went into it thinking like, oh, we've taken it to these guys the 2 games we played up in PG, and then we beat them once at home here too. So I think they kind of went into it a little bit easy, and I think they thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah, there's a difference between confidence, playing a team well, though, and arrogance. And I don't think that this team has learned how to be confident with things. The exception being this year with Portland, I think I felt like we got to that point with them and played well against them every time we played them. But
Yeah.
I think they just, like I said, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, in my opinion. And we were pretty arrogant. I feel like going into the series, up, especially the 2 games of Prince George, and they didn't even look like they were playing hard, and we got humbled.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. We did. We got humbled. I mean, we got humbled right away in game 1.
Yes.
And then, then again, that goes back to the coaching thing. It's like we didn't make any adjustments to that. We let them humble us
Yep.
the rest of the series. But I mean, it was though, like I said, the only bright spots in game 3 at least was Cooper Michaelic was great in net.
Yes, he was.
He made some outstanding saves and kept the Chiefs in the game. And then the 16-year-olds, Owen Martin, Hayden Papanicus, and those younger guys, they played great. I thought even I thought Mays had kind of a rough game 3, but I mean, in games 1 and 2, Mays was all over it. I thought Sage Weinstein was great. But again, it's like your top 2 lines, they just didn't show up. I mean, your veterans had 4 goals combined all series. So
Yeah.
oh, and here comes Current to jump in the way. But yeah, it's like what do you expect what much more from your 20-year-olds? Stop chewing on the thumbtack, dude.
Yeah, and I don't understand why we didn't see more from them. I really don't. They're supposed to be leading your team, not being the followers.
Exactly. And the only other, older guys who were looked like they were ready to go was the guys that we acquired in trades that had a ton of playoff experience, and
Yeah.
Feist and Van Olm.
Yeah.
I thought they looked great all series long, but yeah, I mean, game 3, the Chiefs are already down 2-0, and then make it go down 0-3 here in the series going into game 4 on Wednesday night. Like you had alluded to, you didn't make it because you were at work. But I ended up being able to make it for that full game. And early Prince George got out to the 1-0 lead, and then Conner Roulette tied it up pretty quickly shortly after. And then there was a sequence early in the second period. Do you see the cat behind me here?
Yes, I do.
He's being a little stubborn right now. He's gonna go over here and chew this thumbtack on the wall.
He
again.
wants some attention.
Yeah, he does. There is a sequence, I think it was on the power play actually in the second period, where the shot got through from the point and the goalie kind of wrapped it up, thought he had it, and then kind of started to look behind him and you hear the crowd, see the crowd behind the net kind of rising up like it's right there. It was loose the whole time. Roulette comes in and taps it in. The referee had blown the whistle dead right beforehand. Yeah. So that, I mean, that, I think that it's those little things in hockey that can kind of come back to bite you sometimes. And I feel like the hockey gods weren't really on our side all year long. Um, but Roulette did end up getting another one later in the period, and got us back within one, but it didn't get any further than that, and the final ended up being 3-2. I mean, we had great chances, but Ty Young, their veteran goalie, actually started game 4, and he played fantastic, as you would
Yes, he did.
expect. But can you stop doing that, please? Cats, man, I tell you. Um, but that marked the end of the season for the Chiefs, and the end of the junior careers of Conner Roulette, Chase Bertholet, Ty Cheveldayoff. Um, Pretty unfortunate. I mean, it's definitely, it always sucks seeing those guys, because you're never going to watch them play again. But
Yeah,
I think all three of those guys have pretty bright futures in whatever they end up doing. I'm sure Conner Roulette's going to find a team to get signed
I would
somewhere
think
after
so.
his season. Um, he closed out his career with 259 regular season games, 287 points, 118 goals, and 169 assists. Can you
That's
stop?
pretty. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
Not
it
many.
is.
Not many people can say they're more than a point a game guy.
No, not at all. And it's awesome. And he played 47 WHL playoff games, 28 points, 11 goals, 17 assists. Chase Bertholet finished with 230 games played, 207 points, 78 goals, 129 assists. I thought he's probably one of my favorite additions that we've ever made a trade for as
Yeah,
a
me too.
Chief. I ever since he started, I loved his hustle,
Yeah,
and he could put the puck in the back of the net, and he was a leader. You could tell that he was a leader. I mean, he won the Sportsmanlike Player of the Year and Community Guy and everything too. So he's a good dude, and I thought he really, I mean, lived up to the expectation coming in.
I agree.
I really liked his game. And then Ty Cheveldayoff, I mean, that's pretty much a Chiefs leader right there ever
Yeah,
since he stepped into the league. I mean, he not the most offensive guy, a little bit more gritty, but he's a fan favorite. Um,
another Darren Kramer.
exactly. Yeah. And I think he was kind of the unofficial captain for
Yeah,
the season. Playing his entire career with the Chiefs, 194 games with 99 points, 43 goals, and 56 assists. Um, and so those guys will no longer be eligible to play in the CHL. Berkeley Catton finished the regular season with 116 points, 54 goals, and 62 assists, second most for a 17-year-old in Chiefs history. We
that's
got up to
pretty.
second most. That's
That's pretty
insane.
impressive.
Yeah. I mean,
In an era where there's not scoring like there was from the guy that has the number one spot.
yeah, and with stats like that, I mean, he got nominated for the U.S. Division nomination for the Ford Broncos Memorial Trophy, which is the WHL Player of the
Yeah,
Year. He got nominated for the U.S. Division, which I think is completely well deserved.
me too.
Um, and obviously, I don't. I think Zach Funk's probably gonna end up taking that with the season that he had, but
He just
I mean, there's some great players here nominated. BC division was Zach Funk, Central division was Connor Geeky, and the East division was Jagger Furcus. So
yeah,
I mean, you got great
pretty
company
good
right there
names,
with
right?
all four of those. Exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. But all the winners will be announced on Wednesday, May 1st through Thursday, May 9th. So we'll have to
nice.
wait about another month for that. But and then he was also nominated as the U.S. Division candidate for Scholastic Player of the Year.
Yeah,
So I mean, the kid's obviously smart as hell too. So
pretty good qualities in a young man.
what can't that kid do?
Yeah, no kidding.
And I mean, you listen to all his post game interviews and stuff too on the radio, and all his you know WHL radio show podcast interviews and everything too. I mean, he talks like a leader. I think he's gonna be. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's captain next year. I think he should be, in all
Yeah, I do.
honesty.
I do too.
Um, so I'm really excited to see, first of all, where he ends up getting picked in the NHL draft this in a couple of months here, and then seeing like which team takes him, how high he goes, and everything too. But I'm really excited to see what he can do for the Chiefs next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he's putting up 116 points in his 17-year-old draft eligible season, what's he going to do 1 year later,
140.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah,
I mean, that's McDavid-esque
exactly.
almost. Like that's is mind blowing. Um, going into the season, I didn't really have many expectations. I knew that we were going to be young again and a little bit better than we were the past season, but I think that the team kind of met the expectations that I did have. I mean, it was pretty much exactly spot on. I wanted to ask you, did the team meet your expectations coming into the season?
Um, Kind of overall, but again, and I'll take it back to a couple of years ago too. The first 2/3 of the season, no.
Yeah.
Again, a late run from mid-January on squeaks us into the playoffs. So overall, you kind of get to that point, but no, I thought it was very disappointing first 2/3 of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it was for sure. I thought that, they just had to get their feet wet a little bit too. And then but going into the new year and stuff too, they were coming in hot after going on a 4 or 5 game winning streak there before they hit their Eastern swing, and then they lost the first 5 games of the Eastern swing, so it was pretty much
And,
downhill from there.
and again, what causes that? How can you be hot? Are you arrogant
Yeah, exactly.
versus confident?
Yeah, exactly.
Because by the time you get done with the Eastern Road Swing, all of a sudden you're back to a wash from how you ended the regular the year
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff too. You win 5, you lose 5. That's I don't know. I just feel like this team the last couple of years they either don't learn from experiences or it takes them too long to learn from experiences. And I feel like other teams don't do that. I feel like other teams, when they have adversity, they grow from it and they get better. I feel like this team last couple of years, and again, I don't know what to attribute it to, doesn't do that.
Yeah, it's spot on, and it's interesting. You try to speculate what the problem could be and everything too, and we've said that all along that we think that it could be a coaching thing. It could be just nobody's getting these guys properly motivated and everything too, because I mean, we've seen it this year. Victoria started off the year with a terrible record, and then they end up
Yeah,
switching, firing their coach and hiring the ex Winnipeg Ice head coach, and they went on a run and finished fifth in the conference.
right.
So, um, yeah, I mean, I thought overall that they were overall met the pretty much what I thought was going to happen. I had a feeling that we would get into the playoffs this year. I didn't expect us to get swept. I expect us to maybe at least win a game or two. But overall, I think it was pretty much exactly where they are in their process of their rebuild. But that being said, now I think going into next year with Catton being an 18-year-old, probably his last year in the league, maybe
I
one
would
more
think.
year after that. But with it being potentially his last year in the league for sure, and the talent that you do have coming in with Mathis Preston and the guys like that too, I think you gotta make some trades in the offseason and make a run this year,
Oh, I agree.
because you can't let a talent like Catton go to waste.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but yeah, overall is pretty much kind of where what I expected. But my next question for you is, who, in your opinion, was the best overall performer?
Best overall,
Yeah, I would say other than Catton, because that's kind of a given.
um, Bonnie.
That's kind of what I was thinking you would say, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy was just consistent every game.
And it's pretty special having a guy a natural defenseman that can play both positions, and he's a great forechecker and
Yeah,
everything like that too. So I agree with that move too. I think he is a little bit underrated
I do
still,
too.
and I feel like that. I mean, he's got a great shot too. We saw it a lot in camp in the preseason this past year and
Mhm.
stuff too. He's got a great shot. So, unfortunately, I feel like he might be like kind of an Ethan McIndoe situation, being the odd man out with the 20-year-olds coming in next season. Um, but it'll kind of be interesting to see. And that brings me to my next question: what 20-year-olds are we keeping next season, in your opinion? We got Ben Bonney, Braden Crampton, Leighton Feist, Rasmus Ekstrom. and Shea Van Olm and Carter Streak.
I say we keep Bonnie. I think we keep Feist. I think Ekstrom's not going to come back. I just have this fear that he's going to sign somewhere to play in Europe or something.
Yeah.
And which would make things easier choice wise, but otherwise you got to bring him back.
So that's kind of where I'm at too. I think if Ekstrom's not gonna be, if he does come back, I think you have to absolutely keep him.
Yes,
Because I mean he played that game 4
he
after
played good.
missing the last couple of last month or so of the season, and I thought
Yeah,
he looked great out there.
yeah,
Kind of a surprise entry into the lineup for game 4, but he definitely provided a little bit of a spark, and we said it all year, he's got an NHL style shot.
yeah.
So and he's a great skater too. He's just smart.
That kid's elite.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think if it has interest in coming back, and the team has interest in bringing him back, I think you absolutely need to keep him. But if he's not, I say
We keep Van Olm in my
Shane
opinion.
Van Olm. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I think the last half of the season, Carter Streak played a lot better than he did in the first half. I thought he had a really good last
he
month and a
did.
half or so of the season. But that's not somebody that you should keep around as a 20 who's,
Yeah,
not producing too much. I think Crampton, I think he could be trade bait
yeah. Me too.
in a way. But I think overall, if you want to build your defense a little bit too, I mean, we have Caden Allen coming in next year, but I think you need to keep Leighton Feist. He was just a solid shutdown
Yeah,
guy. Great shot from the point. I think Sage Weinstein's going to be good next year with him.
I do too.
And and then yeah, Shea Van Olm and Ekstrom, or yeah, I'm gonna say Ekstrom, Van Olm, and Feist will be the ones that we end up keeping. I think Streak, Crampton, and Bonnie are going to be the odd man out, but I'm kind of hit or miss on Bonnie. I hope we can find a way to keep him in a
Yeah,
way, but I just don't see it happening. But who knows? Anything can happen. So we'll have to kind of wait and see with that. My next question for you: what are your predictions for the Chiefs next season?
I see big changes coming.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
No, I think there will be a lot of movement or an attempt to make movements. I think you'll see a coaching change.
Yeah.
I think it's just time for something new and different. I think Bardsley sees that. He came in and he was the new guy into the team, and I think he kind of just rolled with it for a while, and now it's time for it to be his team.
No, I agree for sure. And you look at his history and stuff too, what he did in Kamloops and in Portland and everything too, and look at
Yes.
where those franchises went from there. So
Yeah. Yes.
um I agree completely. And I think that would be the right move to do, I think it's time to bring in a coach that has a lot of winning experience, whether it's in the WHL or at a higher league, or
Yes.
um I could see us make an offer to like a NHL assistant coach or like an AHL assistant coach or something too, about getting a head coaching job. I mean, we've seen that before.
Yeah.
I could see us doing something like that. I hope that we do something like that. Um, and I do, like you said, I expect a lot of trades to be made this
Yeah.
offseason too. Um, because I don't think that, I mean, Bardsley didn't go out and acquire Van Olm and Feist to get swept in the first round,
Exactly.
And so I think he expected a little bit more of that too. So I
Yeah.
think that kind of just reiterates the fact that it's time to get the ball rolling a little bit
Yeah.
more. And because I mean, with the fans that you had this year, with the team was still struggling and everything too. I mean, they're still showing their support every game too. We had some huge crowds this year. They
Mm-hmm.
want to see good hockey too. They don't want to watch this same crap that we've been watching the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I agree. I think I would like to hope that it's going to we're going to have a much better record next season. Um, at least over 500.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
That would be nice.
I mean, to me, honestly, it's embarrassing to make the playoffs at under 500.
Yeah, it is. It
It
really
really is.
is. Yeah. I mean, they made great progress from where they were the year before. I mean, they only won 15 games the
Right.
prior season. They pretty much doubled that total. You know, it's a great step, and it shows that they're slowly kind of progressing. But you, like I said, you got to get the ball rolling now because this is potentially Berkeley Catton's last year in the league.
Yeah.
So you got to try to win with him on your team because that guy is again elite.
Elite. Yeah.
So, um, yeah, I it's going to be really interesting to kind of watch and see how Bardsley and those guys kind of plan out the season over the next few months.
Yeah.
Overall, my last question is, who was in your opinion, your most improved player from the year before?
Most improved. Boy. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Um, I can't think of anybody that really stands out other than one guy, and we already talked about him. And you say we hope we can keep him, and I say we will keep him. Bonnie, I think Bonnie improved.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree completely. I think he's right up there for sure. I mean, like we said a little bit ago, he's probably the best forechecker in the league. I mean, the
Yeah.
guy just busts his ass every shift. In my opinion, I would say Sage Weinstein. I think after him signing that contract with Colorado, I think I mean, it was completely different game that he played the year before, where he's, you know, reaching with the stick too much and
Yes.
taking penalties and everything too. He's a lot more physical and he looks a lot more confident out there too.
Yeah.
I think overall, in my opinion, from the year prior, he was the most improved. But I can see where you were saying with that too. I think Will McIsaac could be another
Yeah.
candidate for that too. But and even Cam Parr, I think I mean, he had a pretty solid sophomore season in my
Yeah.
opinion. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not like a naturally gifted goal scorer or anything like that either, but he looks more confident. He showed he's got hands, he can throw hands. I
Yeah.
mean, but you can make a case for a couple of guys, um but yeah, I mean, it for the most part it's kind of surreal to think that the season's over.
It is.
Kind of just
It
flew
is.
by. Feel bad for Boiler. Now
Yeah. He's probably
he got a 1 day break and now he's going over to Avista Stadium for baseball.
yeah, he's probably ready for it.
Yeah, probably, but
That
I
guy's
guess
busy.
that guy works hard, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He's busy.
Um that was like all the questions I really had. I just kind of typed out a few questions that I was thinking of before we started recording. Do you got anything?
I don't, other than the season ends quickly when you don't make it very far in the playoffs.
Yeah, no kidding. I guess I'll give a quick update on where we're at in the playoffs because why not? Let me see if I can find a playoff tree on WHL website. Oh, I guess we could talk about Landon DuPont getting the exceptional
Exception
status.
status, right? Isn't that
Um,
crazy?
so poor Chiefs, he's going to be taking a dump on us the next couple of years
Yes,
because
he
he's going to
is.
be most likely with Everett.
Everett, yeah,
So I mean, it's gonna be fun as hell to watch a kid like that play. I mean, we never unfortunately got to see Connor Bedard play in the dub.
right.
So it's gonna be fun watching an exceptional status guy, you know, a lot of the time. And you know, they, I've heard, I haven't seen any highlights of him yet either, but it sure looks and sounds like this kid's got a pretty elite shot from the point too.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, it's
We'll
kind
get
of
we'll get to see him play. That'll be nice.
yeah, a nice right-handed shot defenseman and probably shut us down and bury us. But you know what? It'll be fun to watch the kid play, and I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, me too.
Let me see if I can see if I can find a playoff tree here. I know Kelowna beat Wenatchee, so Kelowna's moving on.
Yeah,
Um, there we go. This might be it. There we go. Saskatoon won their series against Prince Albert 4-1. Swift Current swept Lethbridge 4-0. Moose Jaw swept Brandon 4-0. Red Deer beat Medicine Hat 4-1. PG over Spokane 4-0. Portland over Victoria 4-0. Everett over Vancouver 4-1. So not really too many close series here in the
No.
first round. I mean, it was all for the most part, 4-1, 4-0. There's a lot of sweeps.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4 sweeps in the first rounds. That was kind of crazy. The second round matchups, we got Portland and Everett. That'll be a war.
That'll be a good series.
Those two teams hate each other.
Yeah.
I think Prince George Kelowna could be pretty good too. I guess Andrew Crystal and TJ Ginler are having great playoffs so far.
Again was tearing it up.
The old Wenatchee Wild, we got Connor Geeky versus Matt Savoy, Moose Jaw versus Swift Current in the second round in the East.
That's kind of cool.
And then Saskatoon and Red Deer. So even though the Chiefs are eliminated, the playoffs go on, and I think we'll have to wait until after the WHL season before you can kind of make trades and stuff again.
Yeah,
if you're eliminated, but kind of wait to see for that. I think what our plan is since there's not games every week anymore, we won't have anything to talk about on a weekly basis. So we'll kind of hop on and do an impromptu episode whenever there's big news regarding the Chiefs or the league in the off season, and hopefully have a couple of interviews lined up at some point too. I think we still got to try to get that one interview in that unfortunately was postponed. And
yes, that'll be a good one.
Potentially a couple of others too over the summer. So I'll post about it whenever we're deciding to do something like that. But I don't think I have anything else to talk about.
Nope. Time to get ready for the NHL playoffs.
That's right. At least we got some NHL playoffs coming up, and baseball season just started, so we'll be watching the Mariners lose again. So
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully they can pick it up a little bit here too. But I guess that's about it.
Well, it was a short season, but yet it was a long season of many of the same old things we're frustrated with. But let's hope next year's different.
I sure hope so.
Me too. All right. Well, go Golfing Chiefs, go.
Speaking of, we got to get out there.
We will. It's got to warm up for me a little bit still.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
We'll get out there.
All righty.
All right.
All right.
Till next time.